joining in. Thank you for joining us today. This will be TreppCRE 101. If it isn't clear from our background photos here, we'll be covering the basics of the TreppCRE app. But before we begin, we're probably going to give another minute or so for people to join in, and we can get started. All right, great. I think we have a good number of people, and the number of people joining in has stabilized. So maybe we'll start with a quick introduction. My name is Sumit Grover. I head up what we call our CRE products here at Trepp, TreppCRE being part of it. And with joining me today is Patricia. Patricia, you want to give a quick intro?
Thanks, Sumit. Hi, everyone. My name is Patricia Bradshaw, and I am the product manager for TreppCRE, and excited to demo for all of you today how clients like yourselves can use it to improve your workflows.
All right, good deal. Before we get into the app, we thought it'll be interesting to just get a sense of what are you guys aware of. Again, this is a one-on-one session, so we'll be starting from the beginning in terms of how you can use TreppCRE, but just wanted to get a sense of how much experience are you guys coming into the conversation today. So I'm going to request Carly, if you can open the poll, please. And if you guys don't mind sharing a couple of pieces of information with us. So first question is asking, how much experience do you have working with Trepp data and products, either in your current role or previous roles? And just kind of getting a sense of how much experience are you coming into the conversation in today. And then the second question is asking a little bit about the functionality. So this is just trying to get a sense of, are you familiar with some of the functionality in TreppCRE? And if you're not, you can leave that one be, and just getting a sense of right, which functionality are you familiar with. And we will plan on covering things appropriately. I think, really, Carly, if you have enough feedback here, we want to close the poll out. Just okay, good deal. Most of you are, well, it's like 75% beginner or beginner plus, and okay, most of you are familiar with at least some of the functionality. So that's good. Okay, we'll take this accordingly. Thank you for taking part in the conversation. So let me open up the app and dive into it. Let me know. You guys can, Trisha, you can see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, good deal. All right, so this is the login, right, the landing page. Once you log into the app, this is where you're gonna, the app is gonna bring you. And there's a lot of information just on this page, right? So I'm gonna start here, and how we will structure this conversation today. I'm gonna take the first 20 minutes here or so, and we'll walk through just the landing page, and we'll talk about some specific property level data, right? So obviously if you are on TreppCRE, you're looking at very specific property level information. So I'll plan on covering some of the very property specific information. I'll pass it over to Trisha after that, and Trisha will cover. We also provide a lot of aggregate level information. So all of the property level information I'll walk you through that gets aggregated to see trends, timelines, and essentially understand how the markets are how individual MSAs or property types or tenants or hotels might be doing. So Trisha will dive into some of that with you for the second half of the conversation. Okay, back to just looking at what's available on this page to you, right? There's some high-level market information. Again, Trisha will get into these specifics towards the end of this or towards the second half of the conversation. But we have our podcast. We update hot searches. So if there's a specific trend we are seeing in the market, we'll generally post a hot search about it. This is a predefined search. You just click on it and the search will run. There's also news. TreppWire is our daily write-up where we provide credit stories as well as just a market overview of how the markets did yesterday. And you will see this update on a daily basis. Trepp Talk is our blog post. Again, as those blogs are being posted, you will see them getting updated here. And if I, sorry, as I scroll down a little bit, you can see CRE News, which is our, we own crenews.com. So if you go there, we're essentially publishing nationwide stories on transactions, leases, new constructions, and so forth. There's a number of, there's about 2 to 5 stories getting published every single day. So there's a lot of new information and content available right here in the app for you. And then some balance sheet lending spreads and other new issue trends. Again, Trisha will cover that in the second half, but there are some quick information available right here on the landing page for you. So with that, I'm gonna dive into some specifics at the property level information. And there's a few ways how you can get to a specific property, right? You can search the address right here. Right, so I'm searching right here. I can look for a specific property, and every time I search for an address, you will essentially see these tabs come up. And a reported financial essentially means this property will have detailed financials available at the property level. And loan data will essentially mean this property has loan data, right? So there are situations, especially if you're looking at, let's say, a multifamily property that is coming from Fannie or Ginnie Mae might not have detailed reported financials, so you will only see loan data in those cases. But all of these properties here that I'm pulling up have detailed financials available as well. So I can click on one of these properties and kind of go in there. Before I do that, what I was going to do was actually switch to advanced search and show you the list view and dive into specific properties. But if you have a specific address that you want to search, you can just start from here. You can also search by property name, by sponsor, CMBS deal name. You can search by Trepp Real ID, which I'll cover in a little bit more detail. And you can also search by hotel names or even tenant names, so it can pull some reports up for you. So there's a lot of functionality available just in the search box here and allows for a lot of different potential searches. If I did forget to mention, if you have questions along the way or there's something on your mind that you would like to share, just kind of bring that up. I do see one question coming in already. If you can search by borrower or is that sponsor? So let me open this up and then share a couple information. So sponsor is essentially the borrower for the securitized universe. So if you type in a name in the sponsor, you will essentially see right the borrower name come up. I will go into advanced search and share some details in terms of what different options are available for you to search at the property level. And we're going to stay in the securitized frame first. I know we have added a lot of new property level data with almost 4 million records. I'm going to start this first path here with just the securitized property data, and then we'll switch a little bit to look at the universe of properties under this all segment. Okay. Up top, you will see, right, the general search items. These are essentially geographic and property type filters that you can apply. So I can search for, hey, I only want to look at office properties, let's say in New York area, right? And then you will see down below, here's 2 tabs, right? In terms of being able to click by property, look at property specific filters or loan specific filters. Just to give you a sense, there's over 100 filters just in these 2 tabs here. And I'll walk you through kind of what filters are available. right? In terms of at the property and at the loan level. So up top on both of these tabs, you will see about 6 filters, right? That are right at the top. These are the ones that are used most often. On the property side, you see tenants, number of units or square foot, lease expiration properties that have lease expirations coming up within a certain dates, and subtype, right? So you will see several subtypes here depending on the property type that you're looking at. Then going further on the property side, you have financial search. This is where you can search by NOI, NCF, appraisal, revenue. These are, again, property level financial items, right? Sales and transactions are new. This works well for securitized as well as non-securitized, but you can really search for specific transactions, right? If you're looking for a property that transacted last year or 2 years ago, you can identify that fairly easily by applying this filter. I'll use this filter a little bit later when we're talking about the properties that have never been securitized and how to find transactions. There's a few million transactions that we have in the system already. On the loan side, right, again, the common filters up top, you see things like current balance, when did the loan originate, what's the current delinquency status, is it current, is it past due, 30 days, 60 days, and what is the remaining term, right? So many times we have users that want to look at, hey, show me all the loans that are, over $10 million maturing in the next 12 months, right? For office properties in New York. And I can certainly do that, right? That's the search you can run quickly. I did want to walk briefly through these various categories of filters we have here as well. Loan distress is the first one. It's on top because it's the most common one requested, right? So you can search for whether a property is on a watch list or it's special serviced. What is watch list? It essentially means the property might be at risk or it has triggered one of the covenants, right? DSCR is too close to 1.25 or has fallen below 1.25, and that was a covenant that has been triggered, or LTV has gone above a certain point, or sometimes it's just a maturity is coming up, and that has been the case in many cases, right? There is an upcoming maturity. The existing coupon is 3, 4, 5%, and it's going to mature into 5, 6, 7% interest rate environment. That's enough to trigger watch list status sometimes. Specially serviced, on the other hand, is properties is already in trouble, right? It's either not making payments, or it is right in a frame where a big lease hasn't renewed and debt service coverage has already dropped below 1, and there's imminent default is where you will see properties going into special servicing.
Sumit, we do have a question in the chat if we have a way to see what date something went to special servicing.
Yes. So I don't know, Trisha, you might know this. I know we
Yes.
did.
So we do have a filter. I believe it's a little bit farther down underneath the additional distress, and it has special servicing transfer date. So you are able to filter your search by that. We also have the full special servicing transfer date available on the list view, which Sumit will get to shortly. I see another question. If there was a change in the special service, do we track if there was a change in the special servicer? I do not believe we do, just that it went to special servicing and then when it went back out of special servicing, but we don't track if the individual special servicers changed.
Yeah, you will see the current special servicer,
Yes.
right, every single time. And you can certainly search by special servicer as well. So, right, so you can type in the name of a special, who the special servicer is currently, and search for, right, specific special servicers. I can type in LNR. It'll essentially bring all the loans that are being special serviced by LNR in New York for office properties. There's about 155 of them. I'm going to remove this for right now, but it's essentially, right, the filter can be applied, and you can see in real time, right, how many results are going to show up based on the specific filters that you are applying. Okay. Loan performance talks about DSCR and LTVs and at different timeframes by different, right, by NOI, or by NCF and LTV, whether more recent or at securitization. You can again filter by specific ranges on each one of them. Loan terms is everything to do with at the time of origination. What were the loan terms that were put in place? What's the purpose? Who was the originator? AM type, maturity date, origination, original term, amortization term, balance, and so forth, right? So all sorts of frame that was set up at the time of origination. Identifiers are loan IDs, loan names, securitization names, right? So you're looking for something specific. You already have the FHA number or the trustee ID, and that's what you want to search for. We certainly get those cases. You can search them here. And then there's some additional term and distress filters, and I think we just went in there, right, looking at special servicing dates. If there was any modification, if the loan has already gone to REO, you can search by there. Periods past maturity, this has been a common one. Right, we're seeing in a lot of cases where the loan is performing, but it's past maturity. And you can search here, right, in terms of how many loans have already gone past maturity. I'm just going to put one here and just see that there's 154 loans that have gone past maturity, but performing or non-performing, but they're out there. Question coming in. Can you go through some examples of how to search under loan performance with NOI, etc. So, okay, NOI will be under the property segment, so you can actually search, right? I want to look at properties that are making at least $1 million in NOI a year, right? And we're looking at office properties in New York, right? About 2/3 of them that are in the system here are making more than $1 million. That'll be one frame. Under loan search, we have debt service coverage by NOI. So you can say, yeah, I want to search for all office loans in New York that have debt service coverage as of now, let's say below 1.25, right? So I can put max of 1.25, and that'll give me, okay, 160 loans where the debt service coverage is 1.25 or below. Again, this is a way to look at, right? So you may want to look at loans that are performing well. So so I put it 1.25 and the minimum debt service coverage, or I want to look at loans that are probably in trouble, and I want to put the debt service coverage at 1.25 for max. So I will get the entire universe of loans where debt service coverage is 1.25 or below. Questions. Can I search for loans that have recently been modified or extended? Yes, you can. I can go to additional, I think I was in distress filter. So modification date is right here in terms of, right, if you can search for, hey, any loan that modified since the beginning of this year, there's 60 of those. So you can certainly look for that here. Extension. I know you can search by loans that have extensions. Right. So you can see here, right, loans where an extension is available. I don't know if they have been extended already. You may be able to search here, right? So remaining extension available. Again, it'll kind of get you there, but it might be slightly different. Modification might give you already anything that has been. So modification will include, right, anything that has been extended. That'll be part of the modification already. And then you can filter further by including an extension type. Okay. Right. Sorry. I'm going to have to close this and open this again.
We have one more question in the chat, Sumit. What's the best way to figure out if, or filter by if a loan will extend or if it's sold?
Sure. So extend, again, I think first thing you can do is you can search if there are extension options on a given loan. So I can go down here, right under additional terms. I can look for, hey, let's just select all. So these are loans that have, I just want to look at extension options. 142 loans have an extension option available to them out of the 824. That means the rest are going to, not that they are, right, going to get sold, just they don't have extension options available to them, and they might have to go down other paths, right? Either go into a workout or potentially get sold. So that might be the best way to stratify that data in terms of looking at loans that do have extension options and those that do not. Right. Okay, so hopefully that helps answer the kind of right queries that you can build here and get into fairly good amount of detail and get to some very specific list of loans that you want to look at. I'm gonna pull loans that are, let's say, special serviced today. This is 119 office properties in New York that are special serviced. Apply search. All right, that brings me a list of right properties based on the filter criteria that I put in. I'm going to do somebody's, if you still have questions, feel free to type them in the Q&A box and we'll do our best to cover them. Okay, going into the list view. So this is the page that you will land up, right? You've built your query, you've identified the number of properties that the results will show. We saw earlier 119 properties is what you were going to get back. So that's what this page is showing. Just to orient you to this page there and show you some cool features. First one is you can see what filter criteria did you put in to get on this page, right? So you're on this page, you're looking at 119 properties. Wait, why are there 119 properties? What filters did I apply? It's right here, right? You can see I put in office properties where current balance is greater than 1. So each of these loans have some money outstanding against them. In New York, New Jersey, MSA, I included all loan types. So this includes CMBS, CRE CLO, and agency deals. Although agency is mostly multifamily, so there isn't just that we didn't exclude anything. And then we said special service status is set to yes. So these are all specially serviced loans. It just gives you a quick way to assess or quick ways to kind of review, right, what filters were put in, and you can actually edit them. I can remove, hey, I don't want to see only the loans that are current outstanding. I want to remove that, or I want to remove the defeased status. And if I can just press this X and the screen will refresh and it'll include the properties that have been defeased as well. Doesn't look like the number changed anyway, so that filter wasn't making any difference. But you can add or remove filters directly from this page, right? I can click this edit. It'll essentially open the same advanced search again for me, and I can apply additional filters. So I forgot to add a filter, or I need to look back again and maybe, right, I want to look at properties that are over, I don't know, 100,000 square feet, right? So I can add that filter and that'll just get added here and the screen will refresh again. So I can adjust the filters accordingly as well. Let's dive into a specific detail on a property now. So I have my list view there. Sorry, I forgot to mention in terms of just the list view itself. We were looking at the map earlier. If you click on the list here, there's actually over 300 columns, right, that you can select from. You can build a full, essentially an Excel type view here for those 72 properties that we have selected with all sorts of information, right? So every single filter that we were seeing earlier is essentially available as a data point in this in this list view. I can identify right things like occupancy. What is occupancy and as of what date? I can add that in. That's already here. I can look at, hey, what's the NOI on the property? That's a column I can add in, and there's multiple columns available with NOI. You can look at NOI, NOI per square foot, change in NOI since last year. So there's a lot of data available in a lot of different columns that are available to you. You can always select specific columns and save them as a specific view for yourself. I have specific views, right, that will show up under my views. Trepp has several views available to you. These are standard ones that we have created that we believe are best fit based on the specific use case that you might be looking at. But you can always select from those columns and save your own view as well. You can also create alerts from here and actually say, hey, based on these criteria that I just put in, every time this search pulls in additional records, send me an email. You can save this as an alert, or you can also create deal alert where you can identify if, and that you'll have to look at a specific property where you can say, right, I can select a specific one or just click here, and here I can identify, right, if the delinquency status on this property is changing, or the vacancy rate is increasing or decreasing, or the NCF is changing up or down more than 10%. In any of these cases, send me an email, send me an alert, and you can create those alerts from here. Okay. Again, if you have questions, please feel free to ask them in the Q&A box. We will stop and make sure that we cover any questions. But right now, I'm going to dive into a specific property and look at what data is available at the individual property level. All right. So once I click on the property again, right, this is a specialty service property that is, I think we identified it's a office property, right? Has 670 million outstanding on it. That was the original balance. That is the current balance. So it's an interest-only loan. Looks like floating rate, and the loan rate as of now is 4.7%, right? You can look at this data is as of August 1st, 2024. So this data will get updated within the next few days here. We're generally updating on a monthly basis, and you will see what is the origination date, what is the maturity date. Looks like, right, initial maturity date was 12/9/2023. So this was supposed to mature back in December of 2023. It hasn't. And over here, right, on the delinquency history, it'll give you a sense of kind of what's been happening over the past 12 months. So it was current all the way up until the maturity date, and then it became performing maturity balloon, which means there was payments being made, but the loan hadn't repaid completely. And then it became non-performing for a while, and looks like the borrower went current again in May of this year, and then has had a little bit of a trouble making these payments. But as of now, they are current on their payments. They just haven't been able to pay back the loans. So let's go and look at, right, what's been happening in this time frame. Whenever a loan is specially serviced or on a watch list, you will generally see this commentary tab. It'll give you a lot of information in terms of exactly what's been happening at the property level, right? So here you can see back before it went into any sort of trouble, it was already on watch list. And this will tell you, right, kind of what was going on in the property before it went into special servicing, who the tenants were, number of loans associated with it, what was the DSCR. It was sitting at 0.78x. So, right, underwritten DSCR was 1.77. So things had deteriorated quite a bit. And, right, essentially what the frame was at the time before it went into special servicing. Then since it went into special servicing, right, what's been going on at the property level. And here it's essentially telling, looks like, right, they're trying to repurpose the property. And it's currently 84% leased as of March of 2024. And that's where the property sits. Now let's go look at what other information is available to us. If I click on this property level, this is where I'll get all sorts of information in terms of what the property type is. It's like it's an urban office. What square footage? 1.4 million square feet. Right. Who are the current tenants and who are the tenants at the time of securitization? So it looks like they've been able to extend about all of the tenants that maybe one or two have expired or have moved on or aren't current, but looks like most of them are still current. Quite a few lease expirations coming up in the next 12 months here. So that obviously, right, makes things potentially harder for this property. Then let's step into financial. So you'll see two financial tabs here, financial and property financial, right? This financial tab is essentially at the loan level. This is giving you a sense of, right, from loan perspective, what is the lender looking at, right? They're looking at what is the total revenue, expenses, NOI, NCF, what's the current debt service coverage, NOI, NCF, what's the current occupancy, and what is the current appraisal on the property, and when was it last updated? It looks like it was updated again fairly recently, and it has been they've kept the appraisal amount fairly stable, even from securitization, which is unique, especially for office properties in today's environment. And then you will look at property financials. This would be available for most properties that are showing you CMBS, and most properties that are even showing CRE CLO. Freddie and Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae properties will also have, well, Freddie Mac will, Fannie Mae will have a little bit more aggregated information. But if you're looking at multifamily, Freddie Mac will have this level of detail as well. But then some other sources, right, Ginnie, FHA, you will not see this level of detail. So this detail is generally available at an individual property level. And you can see here, kind of from revenue perspective, what are the base rent, how much exact revenue is coming in at the property level, and what are their expenses. And you have fairly detailed line item financials here that are going into a lot of detail on exactly where the property expenses are. I'll cover maybe a couple other tabs here quickly. Research will give you any news stories we have written recently on the specific property, and you can see where we've written some stories on this property quite a few times over the past year or so. Deal documents will give you at the time of origination of the loan, what kind of terms were put in for this loan. You will also see prospectus. If a prospectus is available, it'll give you a lot of information in terms of on the specific property, in terms of who the tenants are, what kind of pro forma financials they had projected at the time of origination. You can get a lot of details. Tax and sale data is something we add from our end. So we actually connect this data on the back end, looking at county records, and actually tell you what is the, from taxation perspective, what is the market value and the assessed value on this property. And you can get that information as well. And if there's a transaction on this property, you'll see that as well. Looks like this property sold for $760 million back in 2011. This data is coming directly from, again, county records. Okay, so this was for a securitized property. I see a question coming in. And there's sometimes you see financials available in details V1 and not on details. That is not intentional. If you're seeing that, please do reach out to us and let us know, and we can certainly assess that further. Details V1 for everyone else on the, it's essentially an older page that had been available here previously, and we're working on actually taking this, removing this page from the view over the next few months. We've added a lot of new features on this new details page, and all new enhancements that we're working on will continue to be on this new details page. Okay. Before I pass it back to Trisha, I did want to briefly cover the additional records that are available here beyond just the securitized universe. So I'm going to click on, going back to advanced search, I'm going to click on all, and let's search for multifamily properties in Los Angeles, that had a transaction on them since 2020, January 1st, 2020, and sold for at least 10 million. I see 533 records, This will essentially bring me list of properties that have transacted since beginning of the year 2020 and sold for more than $10 million. I'm going to quickly change the view and bring my own transaction view here so I can look at exactly the data that I want to look, and I place the columns appropriately so I see the sales price first. Now on the source here, you will see Fannie, FHA, Ginnie, Freddie, because I've selected multifamily properties. What I'm going to do here is I only want to look at properties that have never been securitized, That have never been in a securitized pool and are currently outside of that frame. So I can click on this source and remove everything and only select TreppCRE, which means these are properties that are sourced by TreppCRE for the product only. These are not the properties that have ever been securitized, or you would have even found them in the Trepp platform, as of 6 months ago, 7 months ago is when we added all this data onto the Trepp platform, right? So here I have pulled in this information on right properties that again are being sourced directly from public and private sources by us, and let's just dive into one of them. So here I have a property that sold for 88.5 million back in 2021, has 159 units. And I can click on it, and just wanted to kind of give you a sense of how the data would be slightly different between what we were looking at earlier from securitized property perspective, and here property that has never been securitized before. So you can see this is a multifamily property built in 2008, has 159 units, and has sold. We have 2 transactions actually back in 2016, sold for 72 million, and then sold again in 2021 for 88.5 million. I can go to tax and sale data, and that'll give me a little bit more information in terms of those sales transactions that we were just looking at, and will also give me information on assessed value. So this is where I think the information that's available to us on the property, kind of available from sources. What we wanted to do was paint a picture for you beyond just what's available from public or private sources that we may be able to get the data from. And we've built a few different models to help you with that. So first up is comps. If you click on comps here, it'll give you 2 things. It'll give you sales comps, but also income and expense comps. On the sales comps, it's essentially saying, here's the subject property that sold for 88.5. Here's some other properties in the Los Angeles area that we believe are good comps for this specific property based on the time they sold, the size of the property, the year built, and so forth. Okay, and then I can click on the list view, and you can see detailed information on dollar per size. You can see what the sales price was for these properties overall, what the number of units are on these properties, and if you have buyer and seller names, those will be included as well. I see a question coming in. What about appraisal value on the property? We're not including appraisal values on the specific property essentially today. We are looking at assessed value on the back end, essentially to ensure that we're comparing apples to apples, but we're not including appraisal values for this. These are sales transactions, so we want to provide you comps on actual transactions and not look at appraisal values. Okay, income and expense comps is an interesting concept that really like, and I'll walk you through kind of what it's doing. It's essentially, we have a large pool of securitized properties in the system. And for all those securitized properties, as we were looking earlier, you can see detailed financials in terms of what the revenues are and what the expenses are. Here, we've looked at those properties that have been securitized and said, okay, let's find the good comps for what the income and expense for a property like this should be. And I can look at the list, and it'll pull a full list of properties. These are all securitized. The subject property is not securitized. And it gives us a sense of what is the revenue per unit for those securitized properties, what is the kind of operating expenses they are incurring, what is the NOI, NCF on those properties, So now we have a sense of not just kind of we would never know what the NOI on the subject property would be because it has never been securitized. But using some of the information from comps, we can essentially start building a picture for the specific property that has never been securitized. And that is where you go to details and you go to pro forma financials, and you will start seeing some details in terms of based on everything we know about nearby properties that have been securitized, what should the revenue and expenses for the property look like? And here you can see, the revenue for the property we anticipated probably brings in about 4.5 million, puts in an NOI of about 2.7 million, and based on what 5.5 is a little high, for California. So I'm going to adjust it to 4, about 60, 70 million in value as of today. based on the NOI that we anticipate and understanding looking at the comps. So again, gives you a good benchmark to look at in terms of what revenue and expenses the property should be making. Okay. Quick question coming in. I've seen properties with appraisal value versus LTV is the value provided by the lender. So appraisal value will essentially, right, there will be an appraisal for anything that's securitized. There will be an appraisal at the time of origination. And LTV generally, right, would be your balance would be changing. So LTV will adjust accordingly. If the property goes into any sort of, right, trouble, so whether there's any sort of delinquency on the property, or if it's in special servicing, many times you will see an appraisal adjustment. So there might be, right, a new appraisal that'll show up again on the financials tab, and the LTV will be recalculated based on outstanding balance as of that new appraisal date and the new appraisal value. So you will see those adjustments being made. But generally speaking, if a loan is performing and everything is okay, an appraisal is usually done at the time of origination, and you will not see an updated appraisal value along the way. Okay. I've taken more than double time I was anticipating in covering those two topics in terms of going on the property level. So Trisha, I'm going to pass it over to you to cover some of the aggregate measures that we provide as well.
Thank you, Sumit. So let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, Sumit, can you see my screen? Great. So I'm going to cover for the remainder of our call some of the aggregate level information that Trepp provides you as a CRE client. So first, we're going to start on the home page, and you can see we have all of these buttons up here at the top: Sales, Trepp Learning, My Dashboards, and Stats. I'm going to go through each of these quickly. If you'd like to learn more about any of them, please feel free to reach out to support@trepp.com, and either your account manager or someone else from the product team will be happy to hop on a call with you and go through them in more detail. So first, we're going to start with sales. And as Sumit mentioned earlier, we expanded our commercial real estate property database to include data on properties that do not have any debt from the securitization market. And when we did that, we also added information on transactions associated to those properties, as well as the securitization universe. So with this sales transaction dashboard, what you're able to see is an overview of sales transaction trends by property type, and you can also break it down either nationwide or by a specific MSA. So right now, this is looking at overall transaction trends nationwide by all property types. But if I wanted to just focus in on multifamily, I could go over here to the multifamily tab, and I can see information on what is the price per unit year over year, transaction count year over year, transaction record count total. So all the transactions that we have in our database for the multifamily property type, and by the multifamily, mobile home, and co-op housing. I can also see some trends on yearly price volume, as well as transaction price per unit, a list of different transactions, and then some quarter over quarter metrics if you're interested in that. And then, as I mentioned before, this is broken down by property type as well. So if you're interested in either retail or lodging, you could click over here. And then you could also filter this down further, either by MSA, state, city, county, or zip code, or even by sales price as well. Next, I'm going to highlight the Trepp Learning page. So if you're interested in hearing more from myself or Sumit or any other product people here at Trepp, you can go to the Trepp Learning page, where we host all recordings of all of our Trepp webinars, as well as some learning videos that we have created here on the Trepp team. We give you an overview of risk analytics, which we didn't cover today, as well as our mortgage data that we have for properties that do not have any debt associated to them from the securitization market, as well as a deeper overview of pro forma financials. So all of these videos are available here for your reference if you are interested in learning more about TreppCRE after our call today. Next is My Dashboards, and My Dashboards will allow you to log into Trepp Insights, which is our BI tool. So some of you on the call today may have access to this. And if you don't, again, please feel free to reach out to support@trepp.com and someone will be happy to give you an overview of this. But what this allows you to do is see some more aggregate level statistics on certain themes or commonality in certain trends that we're seeing in exposure to the CMBS market. So I've clicked on this market trends dashboard, and what this allows you to do is get some high level KPIs as well as a customizable visual format of different metrics that you were interested in as it pertains to the CMBS market. So here right now, we're looking at multifamily, and I can see all the multifamily properties that Trepp has information on that have a CMBS CRE CLO or agency loan. I can see how many of them are delinquent, what percentage of them are on the servicer or watch list, what is the average monthly debt yield, as well as some underwriting metrics and securitization volume. Another cool feature about this dashboard is that it actually allows you to compare two markets to one another. So if you're interested in seeing how, in this example, I'm looking at how New York multifamily is performing compared to San Francisco multifamily, I can see here that the occupancy rate is higher in New York. They have a 95% occupancy rate versus San Francisco at 92. But then if I scroll down a little bit more, I can see that San Francisco has a significantly lower delinquency rate than the Newark, Jersey City multifamily MSA. And then finally, I'm going to go over to the stats section of our product. So stats is where you're going to find even more aggregate level information. So first, we're going to start with our market snapshot report. So everyone as a TreppCRE subscriber, you have access to these reports. And what this does is provide you another visual view of aggregate level statistics on a market or state level. So maybe you're interested in seeing an entire state exposure to CMBS. You can do that here. So let's take a look at New York. I can also filter by different property types. So right now I'm looking at just multifamily, but maybe I'm only interested in garden low rise or senior living. I could filter this report and it automatically adjusts the different metrics as they relate to the garden low rise subtype, but I'm going to keep it filtered onto all multifamily. I can also filter this report by specific loan types. So if I only wanted to look at the state of New York's exposure to Fannie Mae deals, I could do that here as well. Or if I wanted to look at their exposure to CMBS, I could do that here as well. But now I'm going to go ahead and click on the market snapshot report. I'm going to update that back to all. And clicking on this report will load, again, a aggregate level view of the state of New York's exposure to the securitization market. So I can see those high level KPIs up here. What is their vacancy rate or LTV, delinquency rate, what percentage is in liquidation, what is the current outstanding balance. And then we break down for you by each loan source, what is their current exposure. So I can see for CMBS, the state of New York has 3,589 properties that have a CMBS loan associated to them. What is their current outstanding balance? How many of them are in special servicing? How many of them are on watch list? I can also see total number of loans as well. So for the CRE CLOs, I can see that the state of New York has 240 CRE CLO multifamily loans. And then we go down even further, FHA, Fannie, Freddie, and Ginnie. I can also look at recent transactions. So if I wanted to see recently originated loans in the state of New York, this is where I could find those here. I can see we have one from August 30th in Brooklyn. And then if I scroll down a little bit more, I can see the income and expense benchmark chart. So what this allows you to do as a Trepp client is see aggregate level statistics on the state of New York's reported income and expense data that we have from the securitization market. So I can see here year over year, what was the gross potential rent reported, what were the private pay revenues reported, what was the parking income reported, and then I can see if it's gone up or gone down. And then if I click on any of these rows, let's say, for example, I want to see a trend of real estate taxes, I can just go ahead and click on that row, and it's gone ahead and updated this chart for me over here as well. You can also export this as a PDF or as an Excel if you're interested in including this in your research report that you're currently writing on or in any sort of offering memorandums that you're working on. We also show you some origination trends. So we can show you year over year, what is the original balance that was originated and what is the spread to swap. Then we have some loan performance information to show you some more historical information of loans that were originated in the year, how many are delinquent, how many are in special servicing. And then if any loans were disposed year over year, we're going to show you that here as well. And then finally, if there are any recent liquidations in this state, we'll show you that down here as well.
Hey, Trisha, before you X out of that, quick question. What if we just wanted to look at garden low-rise or high-rise properties and not the entire multifamily?
Sure. So all you have to do is go here to this property type filter, and I can update it to say garden low-rise, and you can see it's automatically adjusted some of these metrics to show you what it looks like for what the loans that are backed by a garden low-rise multifamily property, what their exposure is to, in this example, the state of New York. I can even filter that down even further if I only wanted to look at CMBS. So you can see here, now I'm looking at garden low-rise, market snapshot report for garden low-rise multifamily properties that have a CMBS loan.
Thank you.
And then find a couple other things we wanted to highlight with the last couple of minutes that we have. As Sumit mentioned earlier on the call, we have our TreppWire. So when you log into TreppCRE every day, you're going to see the TreppWire of the current day. But if you wanted to ever look at previous days' TreppWire commentary, you can go here to the TreppWire tab, and it will show you previous commentary. So if I wanted to see, maybe something last week, or maybe you wanted to look at what Trepp wrote about on your birthday, you could do that here. Next, we have the news section, which also goes into the CRE Direct News. So if you're interested in seeing even more articles written by the CRE Direct team, you can go over here to news and look at those. Next, we have new issuance. And what new issuance will allow you to do as a TreppCRE subscriber is look at recently originated deals and some high-level metrics on that. You can also look at some trend information. So if you wanted to look at monthly average LTV, year-over-year comparison, quarterly new issuance volume, if it's conduit, large loan, single borrower, there's some additional metrics down here as well. You can also look at some spread and rate information. So if you wanted to scroll down here and look at some information on what our balance sheet lending spreads are, which is from our TreppCRE product, you could do that down here as well and see, is this quarter over quarter, Sumit, or week over week?
This is every week. Yeah, we run a survey every week of balance sheet lenders and actually provide. So that has nothing to do with the securitized universe. That is actually coming from people that are originating loans on their balance sheet and what spreads and rates are being coded based on LTV bands and property types.
And then finally, I wanted to highlight our tenant and hotel reports. So since we're getting data directly from the servicers and trustees on how these properties are performing, who's located at these properties, how long their leases are, we're able to aggregate all of that data up into reports for you. So if you wanted to see what Amazon's exposure to CMBS was, what Marriott's exposure to CMBS, maybe you're interested in seeing how Pizza Hut is faring after they just launched that brand new pizza box where you can use it when you're moving and the pizza box will transform into a table. You could do that all here in the company exposure reports. So for today's example, I'm going to look at Marriott International. So here we can see all of Marriott's exposure to the securitization market. So it's going to show me the parent company, Marriott International, of how many loans they are in, how many properties are in those loans, what is their current balance, some key performance indicators, what is their current delinquency rate of loans that they're exposed to, how many loans are currently in watch lists, if there's any recently originated loans that have Marriott listed as the hotel at that property, some additional origination trends, and that you can look at. We also break this down by brand as well, so you can see we have the overall trends for Marriott International, but then we can also look at what the different brands are, what their original balance, how many loans they're associated to. And then finally down here, we have our operating performance trend chart. And what this allows you to do is compare this hotel brand's performance to another hotel brand. So maybe you're looking at a property or thinking of buying a property, torn between two properties. Do I want to buy a property that Marriott is at, or maybe one that Holiday Inn is at? I can go ahead and update this chart, and I'm going to search for Holiday Inn. And it's going to update this chart to include Holiday Inn's performance, operating performance data, so I can see what Holiday Inn's room revenues are compared to Marriott, what their room expenses, food and beverage expenses. And you could do this for up to 3. So I can even add, let's do IGH, or let's do, we'll do another Holiday Inn Express. And again, this chart is automatically being updated, so I can compare multiple hotel brands to these main hotel brand that I'm looking at. And then finally, since Marriott has many different brands under it, if you wanted to update this report to just look at a specific brand under Marriott, maybe, you want to see how Residence Inn is performing, you can go ahead and update the brand to up here and filter it to be just Residence Inn. And you can see this has already updated my hotel report to show you, all right, how many loans is Residence Inn listed at, how many properties are backed by those loans, how many rooms, what is their current balance, and all of that data that we were just looking at was updated and reflected for just Residence Inn under the Marriott brand. So we have about 3 minutes left. We can open it up for any other questions that people may have.
Yeah, let's see. Don't see any other questions, but again, if you have questions that come up as you're going through the app, we're happy to run up training specific for you. Just need to reach out to support@trepp.com, and we'll answer any questions as you go through the app. You see something that you want a little bit more information on, or might have a question again. Hey, how did you get to that hotel report? We'll happy to connect offline as well and walk you through individually. Please reach out if you have questions, but if not, that was it for today. Thank you so much for joining in.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.